This is a story about a plant, but not just any old plant, a beanstalk, a magic beanstalk. It is also the story of a boy named Jack, his mother, and their cow, Annabelle. One day, just as the sun was peeking over the horizon, Jack got out of bed and went out to the field to milk Annabelle. But to his surprise, there was no milk to be had, not even a drop. Annabelle had run out. When Jack's mother heard the news, she sighed. "Jack, I'm sorry, but if Annabelle can't give us milk, we'll have to sell her. I want you to take her to the market, see if you can get at least 5 gold pieces for her." So Jack started out with a heavy heart and Annabelle in tow. They had been walking and talking and walking and talking for quite a while. It was a long way to town, and Jack was delicately explaining the situation to Annabelle, when all of a sudden Jack spotted a strange man with a long white beard and a funny hat peeking out from behind a willow tree. "Hey, you there!" the old man shouted. "Me?" said Jack, rather startled. "Yeah, that's some beautiful bovine you got there. Where are you going?" "I'm taking her to the market, sir, to sell her for 5 gold pieces." "That's all? 5 gold pieces? Well, anyone in their right mind would see she's worth more than that. Why, I'd give away all my magic beans for such a comely cow." Jack's eyes widened. "Magic beans?" "Yes, sirree. The king himself begged me for these beans, but I wouldn't give 'em to him." The stranger reached into his bag and pulled out a jar of beans. They were all different colors, some shiny, some sparkling. Jack thought they were the most beautiful things he had ever seen. And in no time at all, Jack traded Annabelle for the magic beans. He ran all the way home. He couldn't wait to tell his mother about his incredible luck. "Mother! Mother!" Jack shouted, out of breath from his run. Look what I have! Magic beans!" Well, Jack's mother wasn't as excited about the magic beans. In fact, she was upset. Very upset. She yelled for a little while. "What were you thinking, Jack? Magic beans? Nonsense! What do I have? I have a fool for a son!" And she grabbed the jar of beans and threw it out the kitchen window. Jack slunk out to the garden to ponder his lousy luck, when he heard something. Something that sounded like a whisper. He listened hard, and yes, indeed, he heard a voice, a little tiny voice. "Bury me! Bury me!" Jack looked around. He was alone. Was he imagining things? "Hey, kid, I'm talking to you!" There it was again. It was coming from the jar of beans. They were talking. "What are you, deaf? Bury me!" Jack unscrewed the lid and poured the talking beans into the ground. No sooner had he covered the last bean with dirt when the ground started to rumble and shake, and out shot the beanstalk. It grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, a beanstalk taller than the house, taller than the trees, so tall it touched the clouds, a beanstalk that would make the king jealous, a beanstalk that made his mother shout, "Jack! Oh my!" Jack wasted no time. He mounted the hefty trunk and started climbing. He climbed higher and higher, above the trees, above the house, through the clouds to the top of the sky, which incidentally ended at a pair of giant female feet inside a giant pair of shoes belonging to a kindly giantess. Female giant for those unfamiliar with giant. "Would you like to come to my castle, young man? You look tired and hungry. I'll happily let you rest there, but you must leave before my husband gets home," she warned. "He's not very friendly, and unfortunately, he likes to eat little boys." Well, Jack was a bit nervous, but soon he was sitting comfortably in a giant chair by a giant fireplace, finishing the last bites of a delicious lasagna with his giant knife and fork. He was just about to be on his way when there was a giant sound like thunder, and the table began to shake. Boom, boom, boom! It was the giant's footsteps. Quick! Hide! My husband is home! Hurry before he sees you! Jack dove behind the butter dish, just as the door swung open, and in walked the giant. He was a huge creature, hairy and smelly, and he had a massive spiky club in his fist. The giant sniffed the air and bellowed, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Jack could feel his heart pounding. His wife assured him, "There's no Englishman here at all, dear. It must just be your allergies." The grouchy giant searched and searched the room, but after finding nothing, he finally gave up, slurped down his supper, and went to bed. Of course, Jack didn't sleep at all that night, for fear the giant would wake up and make him a midnight snack. The next morning, the giant took a large key from a hook and unlocked a huge door. He disappeared inside and then reappeared carrying 3 bulging bags. Jack peeked around the butter dish and marveled at what he saw. Gold coins, hundreds of them. The giant counted the coins one by one, then carefully put the bags back into the closet, locked the door, returned the key to its hook, then boom, boom, boomed his way out the front door. Jack saw his chance. He took the key, pushed a chair up against the door. The keyhole was very high off the ground, you see. Unlocked the door and grabbed one of the bags. He raced out of the house and down the beanstalk all the way back down to his garden with the bag of gold. His mother, of course, was overjoyed, not only because of the gold, but because Jack was safe and sound. She apologized for yelling at him, and she made him a double chocolate fudge cake to celebrate. But that is not the end of this story. Jack couldn't stop thinking about the giant and the castle at the top of the beanstalk. "Mother," Jack announced one day, "I'm going back up there tomorrow." "Jack, no, it's too dangerous. If the giant catches you, he'll eat you alive." She pleaded and begged and cried, but Jack was a very stubborn boy, and the next morning he climbed the beanstalk once more. When he reached the top, there was the lady giant just as before, only this time she looked a little nervous. "I'm sure you'll want to come in again, but you can't stay for long, and you'll have to promise me you won't take any more gold. My husband was very angry." Jack promised, and when they were back at the castle, she gave him a hot bowl of soup. Just as he was finishing the last drop, there was the boom, boom, boom. This time, Jack knew what to do. He hid behind the sugar bowl. The giant burst into the room. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Where is the little thief?" "Now, dear, that's not a human you're smelling. That's my delicious pig snout soup. And why don't you go see if your chicken will lay you an egg, dear?" And from a small cage, the lady giant pulled out a beautiful white hen. The chicken squawked a few times, and right there on the table, it laid a golden egg. Jack knew what he had to do. When the giant and his wife went to bed, he grabbed the magical hen and raced back down the beanstalk to show his mother their new prize. Jack's mother was very happy to have her son back again, but after a time Jack got that familiar itch to climb the beanstalk, and one day, without telling his mother anything, he ventured back up into the sky. When he got to the castle, he found himself a new hiding spot. He didn't have to wait too long when boom, 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 and in walked the mighty giant with his wife behind him. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." "You are surely imagining things this time," the lady giant said. "I haven't seen that little brat for ages. And even if I did, I'd serve him to you for supper myself." Jack was glad he hadn't run into the lady this time. After supper, the giant reached into a large sack and pulled out a beautiful golden harp. "Sing to me," he commanded the harp. "Sing me something that will put me to sleep." And to Jack's astonishment, the harp began singing the most beautiful song he had ever heard. When the giant was snoring deeply, Jack tiptoed over to the harp and grabbed it. Suddenly, the harp shouted, "Master! Master! Help! Help!" The giant woke up, and seeing Jack, he grabbed his club. Jack ran as fast as his little legs could take him, still holding the screaming harp. The giant was close behind. Jack reached the beanstalk and scrambled down to his garden below. When he got to the bottom, he looked up and saw the enraged giant climbing down the beanstalk after him. Now, fortunately for Jack, the giant was a lousy climber and far too big for this substantial plant. The beanstalk began to creak and sway, and suddenly it snapped in two under the weight of the huge man. With a mighty roar, the giant fell from the sky and landed with a thud in Jack's garden below, dead. Now, after all those adventures, Jack was very happy to cut down the beanstalk and go back to a nice quiet life with his mother, their bag of gold, their hen that laid them the golden eggs, and the magical harp that sang them to sleep each night.